Third down to give. Montella cuts back up the middle, and he's over 1,000 yards, and he's off to the races.
Up in the air, blocked down!
Dumping in, wide open net. Too easy right there.
Molly Chapman, she'll take off from the wing. That one's good.
Webb trying to get the pin.
Here we go.
And it got it! That would win it for Warren Hill.
Great senior night ceremony here at Lenby Valley High School.
A 63 save performance by Casey Connor, the Crimson.
And he break his record. Penty Edwards wins it.
First game of your conference schedule.
So good, and we're all so pumped and just happy to
Lineups ahead tonight on more Sussex Sports.
And happy Wednesday, everyone. Thank you for joining here on the Dan Cleary podcast. I'm Dan Cleary. Going a little bit later today, a little evening show we got coming to you here at 6:30 on a Wednesday. Appreciate everyone joining us and checking us out. And can you feel that? Can you feel it coming, folks? That's right. Opening day for high school football, week 0, less than 3 weeks away. Can you believe it? All the hard work these guys have put in since June and year round. 7-on-7s. Practices officially started on Monday. Scrimmage, I guess everyone can have their first scrimmage either Saturday or Monday coming up. So it's here. And if you want to find out about all the action, check us out on Big State Sports. Joe Hoffman, I know, will have a preview. I know he came up with an all-quarter century team that on a future podcast, I'll have Joe Hoffman on. We'll talk about the best players from Morrison, Sussex areas since the year 2000. That's going to be a lot of fun. We'll do a little football preview. And it's here. We're out there covering 7-on-7s, getting everyone ready. And then all the other sports will start their practices next week. So we'll have soccer, field hockey, volleyball, cross country, you name it. We cover it here at Big State Sports, and we can't wait for the fall season to start. I'm right now in the process of hitting all the Sussex County area schools, something I've done for a long time at other places I worked at. And I love going there. We do 14 schools. We talk to the coaches and the players. So keep an eye out for that. We're hoping to go live with that the week of week 0. First games are on the 28th. We're hoping to have that on by the 28th or 27th. Kelly Barnett does a great job putting that together. And Jesse Landino has been terrific with me. He's been my cameraman the last few days. So he'll be officially sick of me by the end of the week because we hit so many schools together. But our first, we're going to have 2 guests tonight, which is pretty cool. Our first guest is a well-known published author and historian, and he's out of Franklin, New Jersey. He writes a column once a week for the Strauss newspapers about the history of the county, and he does a great job. It's a must-read. If you enjoy Sussex County history, his column is great. It's right in the middle of the paper. You open it up, and I get it on Thursdays. You know, I read the front page, and then I go right to Bill's column. Bill Trunan is going to be joining us, and Bill is promoting a book he just wrote. So hopefully you guys can see this. It's backwards on our screen, but it's called Franklin High School, 2 Basketball Dynasties. And he wrote it with Michael Ferrara, who was the first player from Sussex County to make the NBA. He was drafted by the Washington Bullets back in 1981, I believe it was, but we'll talk to Bill about all the particulars. So Bill wrote this book with Michael. Unfortunately, Michael passed away this past spring. He was diagnosed with ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. But before all this happened, Bill and Bill's a proud graduate of Franklin High School as well. They got together and wrote this book. It's about the 2 dynasties. Bill touches on the teams from the 50s and 60s at Franklin with Reg Purdy as the head coach. But the majority of the book is about Michael Ferrara and his dream of a kid playing in Pleasant Valley Lake and then Franklin High School of getting to the NBA. And Bill does a wonderful job chronicling this with Michael. So without any further ado, we bring on our guest. Bill, thanks for joining us.
Good afternoon. Thanks, Dan. Yeah, that was a great intro. And you've got a lot of sports set up here, and the seasons just keep rolling around. We're now in football season, I guess. It's coming up. Boy, I'm still out swimming. But
right.
I think today we're talking about basketball.
Yes, we are. And we're talking about a legend out of Franklin High School. Again, as I touched on the intro, I think because you're a historian and you don't miss a beat on any details. You give a little bit of history of Franklin, the town itself. Then you explain about Reg Purdy getting the program going in the 40s and 50s. And in the book, and I'm a history buff as well, especially sports in the county. Back in the day, there was only 4 high schools. There was Hamburg, Franklin, Sussex, and Newton. So Bill chronicles that. But the majority of the book is about Michael Farrar's journey. But Bill, first tell everyone how you came up with the idea. How did you connect with Michael about this? And give us the whole genesis of this whole project.
Okay, well, you asked for 2 different things. So the first thing that you'd ask for is a background about Franklin and the Franklin area. And the beginning seemed to be around 1760s, before the Revolutionary War. A lot of mining. Iron mining was really big for about 200 years, and then they got into zinc mining. I've been documenting, chronicling that. We had in the Franklin area the largest zinc mine in the world at one point. We had one of the largest blast furnaces in the 1870s for iron in the nation. And then we had one of the largest concentrating plants in Franklin, the Palmer plant. The whole story in and of itself, because Palmer gave the Palmer Stadium to Princeton, plus other things for another time. But I had worked with the Smithsonian Institution as a partner in putting things together for that. So there's a little background for it. Now, my family, all of my family, about 8 different groups of my family came into the town of Franklin around the turn of the century, 1900, to be miners in the New Jersey Zinc Company, underground or the plant. With that background, and Mike had said, make sure you put in there about where this town had originated and the type of people that were in it. They were humble people, lower class immigrants for the most part from Europe, about 18 different countries in Europe. And they were sturdy, robust, wouldn't say, never say give up. And that's the town that Mike had come into. So there's a little background of Franklin area. By the way, if anybody wants to see these things, they can go to it's an open website. My last name is Truran. Go to truran.com, and you can spend about 5 hours in there looking through films and pictures and other things. So, then you asked, the second question was you asked how I knew Mike. I knew Mike. I had played on Franklin High School basketball team. I graduated in the class of 1969. Franklin lasted till about 1985, roughly, because some classes were there, and then they moved over to Rock Hill Valley Regional High School. And when I got out of college, among other things, I'd go up to the school gym. In those days, it called it the boys' gym. The boys
right.
had a better gym, and the girls had the girls' gym, which was the older one. And they, and he'd show up. I think he was 10th grade then, maybe. But it was a gluttony. Anything to do with basketball, he wanted to show up. And so I remember he'd join our league and play. And a little side here. He probably wouldn't want me to say this, but I did beat him in a game of 10. 1 to 10, and it was supposed to be for $1, and that dollar never came. And I think he, it's one of those blind spots, he'll never admit it. Anyway, so when I discussed that with him in the last year or so, he changed the subject. We move on to other things like how he did the Alaska get together and got into the NBA. So I said, okay, we'll leave it at that. Anyway, so how he got a hold of me, Mike was a wonderful connector with basketball people. And he kept in touch with everybody that he knew. The list that his daughter gave me out of his phone when was able to break into his phone because he said he wanted me to get in touch with all of these people. There's about 70 or 80 people. Included in there was Dale Brown, the head coach of LSU, and then Ricky Carlisle, who right after the book came out, I'd sent it to him that he had died. And, Rick said, "Oh, sorry to hear that. I'd love to have a copy of it," which we're getting for him. But that was like 3 days after he lost the NBA finals, last game of the finals, and so that was back in June. Anyway, he had a broad array of people that he kept in touch with all of those years, all the 50, 60 years that he'd been around. Anyhow, he kept a very close touch with Coach Frank Virtue from Franklin. He was the coach from about 1965 through the end of near the end of the when the school closed and people moved over to Wallkill Valley. So he was my coach, and he was Mike's as well. I always kept in touch with Coach Virtue. He was a very Christian fellow, very down to earth, and everybody loved him. And we all still call him, some of my friends that were on the team, John Nelson, a few others, still call him Coach. And he's still around, knock on wood. That's great. His wife just passed away. But anyhow, Coach Virtue got a hold of me about a year and a half ago and said, "Bill, I got somebody here who wants to talk to you." And so I got on the phone with Mike, and we reminisced. And then he said he wanted to do his memoirs. So I said, "Great." And that was about a year and a half ago. And it was really in the summer. He came over to the house. We talked, chatted, had a cigar, beer. I hope I could say that. We had a
Sure.
beer. Anyway, then we sat out on my back porch here, and the sun was on us. We just had a wonderful time. Move ahead about 9 months. He says, "Bill, I've got big problems. My health is going." And up to this point, he was telling me, "Oh, I go to the gym." He lived in Florida. I go to the gym all the time. I'm working out. I'm doing sprints and playing basketball and stuff. And he looked and sounded like really with it. For a guy his age in the 60s, who was 60 something, that isn't that fantastic. But within about 9 months, he was saying, because we're doing Zoom because he's in Florida and he can't travel. I'm really not doing that great. And so we hurried through his book. The book was finished. I wanted to tell him it was finished. He didn't respond to the phone calls. He was in the hospital. And that was it. He just went down like that with Lou Gehrig's disease. And it caught him about 6 months, I guess. It took hold because he said, I got problems. I don't know what it is. I have to go see a doctor. And then the next thing they had analyzed that that's what it was. So that was quite an experience just to get his memoirs and to put them into book form and to do the intro with Dale Brown and Rick Carlisle, and I interviewed Coach Virtue and a few of my own words in there, and helping him construct how it was going to be his character arc and so forth. Make sure, and he had all of the photos and memoirs that he wanted to express to other people.
Bill, if you can give someone a snapshot of what kind of player and person Mike was. I was a young guy then. Vernon didn't have a high school, so Franklin High, the Vernon kids went to, and there was a couple of Vernon guys on that team. Doug Bowlby and Gary Baldwin were Vernon guys. But that basketball team took over the counties. Everyone loved Franklin basketball except when you played them. I know Newton wasn't crazy about them, and Opakon and Pope John, but a little small Group 1 school in the middle of Sussex County just grabbed the imagination of a lot of people. Try to give everyone a little bit of a snapshot of Franklin basketball, 75, and then the 76 season. Because 75, they won a section title, and then 76, they lost in the section finals. But, that was Mike's junior and senior year, and also a wonderful player, Stefkovich, playing with him. They both got 1,000 points in the same game, which is crazy. but give everyone a snapshot of Franklin basketball and what Mike meant to it during the mid-'70s.
Okay, well, let me preface it to 1967-68. Mike's older brother, Steve, was on the team there, and he was a 1,000-pointer. And before that, his other brother, Danny, 1,000-pointer. So it was quite a family to come from. And anyhow, they were pretty good in around 1968. They were an impressive team. My team, I think we were very low on the totem pole. And then it was mediocre in the early to mid 70s. And then Mike and Stick, as he's referred to, was there. And they came together, and of course, they worked together. So not only is Mike trying to find every chance he can get to get on the ball court, then there's Mike, and then he's playing with him. What a wonderful 1-2 combination. And then the other fellows that you're talking about too, the Vernon kids who were there, and it was near the end of their experience there, because Vernon built a high school for the burgeoning number of population. So they had left before Walker Valley separated from Franklin. But anyway, so it was mediocre, early 70s, late 60s. And then these guys, Mike especially, word got around. This guy really knows what he's doing. He is a great athlete. And he's one of these guys that will not say no. He wants to go to the basket, and you might as well get out of the way, because he's going to go to the basket and make a basket, be high scorer, win the game. And he was just totally oriented that way, which is great to see in this day and age, with people being sort of vacillating, not having a inspirational way to be motivated and work towards a goal. So, it's wonderful to see him like that, and also Stick. So anyway, the word got around the county, and at first it was with the school, of course. Then the school would tell the brothers or sisters, or like me, I'd find out about it. My mother worked in the school, and we'd go see the games, and you couldn't get a seat then. One of the pictures, if you are so lucky to get the book, one of the pictures down in the bottom corner, I was amazed at look at it when he gave me the picture, and that is the whole gym's full of people, so excited to see the game. So that is a little expression of what you were asking about.
Yeah, it was just an electric time for Franklin basketball, because everyone traveled. Anytime, it was a away game, it was almost like a Franklin home game, except for like when you played down the barn down there in a pack-on, with Dennis Tobin was a youngster then, his older brother Jimmy played, and Rich Fink was a great coach. Him and Frank Virtue had great battles, but it was almost like an away game. How did Frank, and now we talked about Michael, if we could just go reverse a little bit. Reg Purdy got Franklin kind of basketball crazy, but why did this mining town in the middle of the hills with a lot of immigrants, how did it become so basketball crazy?
Again, my family goes way back when. My take on the New Jersey Zinc Company, which is a mining company, and they're there to squeeze the rocks down and get dollars out of it for the owners, who were the Palmers. And they were among the, this is another book I'm working on, but they were among the people they rubbed shoulders with the Vanderbilts and, Rockefellers, the Jekyll Island down there, which was an exclusive place to go away to. So anyway, the way my take on it is interviewing people and seeing what the artifacts are, is that they really wanted to do well for the people who were mining for them. They had a neighborhood house, they had a bowling alley, they had swimming at the pond, And everybody still to this day looks nostalgically back at that time period because people are working hard. They're driven towards goals. You could see the result of your work by the number of rocks that come down and the way the company was and how they treated you as well. Around 1916, they built a school, a nice looking school, and it was a vocational technical school, Franklin Vocational Technical School, where they could teach kids. And then back in those days, a lot of people didn't even go to high school. They only went to sixth grade or eighth grade. There was a lot of one-room schoolhouses that were around here, and they consolidated around that time. I know up in Wantage, they did it in the 1930s. They had a consolidated school that they came to, which is now High Point. And so people would learn to be pipe fitters, how to do welding, cutting, those type of talents. In early 1920s, it became a school. So they moved it from the one-room schoolhouse up to using about half of the school for teaching classes. So they got out of the school on Oak Street, that then became a sewing place, and then it was torn down. It's right next to the first particular Baptist church. 1823 was built. It's a dead-end road, but if you ever want to go back there, you could take a look. It's a nice place to get the Baptist cemetery and so forth. So then that's in the 20s. And then through the 30s, they were a really tough football team. And then they ended up with, moving along for a few years, a Franklin Miners football team, which was a semi-pro team. And again, this is showing the rough and tough manly men who were in the town. Now, moving off to the late 40s and early in all of the 50s, Coach Purdy, Reginald Purdy, was a great basketball coach, and he had a great team, several players who were fantastic. And he then backed out around 1965, and Coach Virtue came in from Butler. And we talk about that in the intro to the book, where Frank Virtue came from. And Purdy then became the principal in the school. So he got into the management of the school. So there's a little background to bring us up to around 1970 or so.
So in the book, and it just shows how meticulous Michael was. He kept that sheet. He had his point system where I want to be a 10 or 8 out of this. All the sheets are in there. The research was unbelievable on his end. But just talk about, I mean, obviously they have this great run. 1975 win a section title, lose a tough one to Clifford Scott in the Group 1 semifinals. They lose in the section final in 76. The old Sussex County Interscholastic League was the new league then. They used to play in the old Route 23 League, the Skyline Conference, from High Point down to Ponta Lakes and Pequannock. And then he's being recruited. Now, not a lot of guys for basketball were being recruited to Division I out of Sussex County. It was known as a football, wrestling, baseball area. So Mike goes to Niagara. And then, and I don't want to give too much away in the book, but Frank Layden, if you know anything about basketball, you know who Frank Layden is, was the coach. He left. Things didn't work out for Mike. He ends up at Colgate, and he's one of the top scorers in the nation by the time he gets to his senior year. What made him that so determined to get there and then eventually be drafted by the Washington Bullets? Talk about, you know, he could have just gave up after Niagara, came home and played summer league basketball with all you guys, you know, with Eddie Pava and all his buddies.
Well, I guess he didn't have a dollar to his name, so knowing that he was going to come up against me on a game of 1 to 10, that's why he didn't come.
There you go, right? He knew better.
Yeah, that's the way I look at it. I think he was just driven. He was driven to be a basketball player. As he states in the book there, he thought maybe he'd be a really good baseball player. His father had letters from Mickey Mantle and Roger Maris and so forth, because he was associated somewhat to Yankee Stadium. But he tried to do that with baseball, but then he tried basketball. He said, boy, basketball I really like. And he just was driven to do the basketball route. And I think, yes, the people didn't mix. And, the situations, the ball doesn't always go in the rim, and that's nobody's fault. But he was just driven to do basketball. So then when he got the correct people there and a good league to be in, and he was healthy, and he was probably reaching his peak, like we all do. You work your way up, and then you get to a very high point. And he just did very well. He was like second in the nation in scoring, and it was only a few points away. And the way he told it was that the other guy had another game that he didn't have, or something to that effect. But like basically the highest scorer in the nation, coming from Colgate back in 80, 81. And his numbers retired now up at Colgate. And,
I remember distinctively, I've been a sports junkie all my life. I was a kid then, probably freshman in high school, subscribed to Sports Illustrated. And that article came out, Sports Illustrated, on Mike Ferrara, who went to Franklin High School in Sussex County, and Kevin McGee from Cal Irvine, and comparing how, Michael, they were both great scorers, but Michael could shoot, he'd take it to the basket, or the kid from Cal Irvine, Kevin McGee, was a big kid, worked down low. And I remember that was like wildfire throughout the county. This is one of our guys. He's one of the best players in the nation, and he played at Franklin. And when that article came out, Franklin was still open. I guess it was 81. I think they shut the doors in 82. Welco opened up like fall of 82. But it was such a big thing to see someone from Sussex County in Sports Illustrated. And it wasn't a blurb. It was a full-blown article. And I think everyone just realized he's got a chance of making the NBA. Talk about that. I mean, things didn't work out with an injury and some bad luck with him. But he does get drafted out of the Patriot League school, Colgate, out of Sussex County. Just talk about that. What an amazing achievement. He must, in the book, I don't want to give too much away, but that was, I know, as a guy, I didn't really know Michael that well. I think I met him once or twice. We all took pride in that. Everyone from Sussex County thought it was great.
You're right. And it's a small county. A lot of people know each other up here. And you and I were talking about it. First time we chatted in a long time, and just these other names come up, and I said, "Oh yeah, Jesse just texted me, so I've got to get back to her." And it's kind of crazy. So yeah, I love this county because we still have we have a lot of people who moved up from the city since the pandemic and all that, but it's still got the network of people who love the county and love the people who are here, the web, the context of people who have been here for their whole lives that are carrying forth. And so to see somebody stand out like Mike did really inspires and makes us all proud to see that happen. And that was fantastic when he was reaching his pinnacle with the basketball there. There was, and again, not to give things away, as you're saying. Right. He was up there and had injury and some bad luck and situation, but he still has a. I just got an email the other day from one of his the guys that played on the Bullets. He still keeps in touch with him. Still kept in touch with Mike, and was sorry to hear that he had passed away. And I think he spent 10 years, 8 or 10 years on Bullets. But so a lot of people did like the fact that he was there. His energy was so inspirational to people, and he's one of those guys. He'd call me every Saturday. I have a newsletter that comes out on Saturday, and so he'd call me right after he gets a newsletter, because I put it on automatic, so it comes out at 10:30, and he'd call me right afterwards, and we discuss his book then at that point. And it was just a labor of love for both of us to be putting it together. And,
Absolutely.
Something I was thinking of when you were saying about people being inspired and like him. I'm the Sussex County historian, so I get called upon to go to sometimes the Bentley old folks home. And so I was over there about 2 weeks ago, and all these people in wheelchairs and so forth, and very alert and astute people. One of the guys came up and he says, you said you just came out with a book on Mike. I lived right next door to him in Pleasant Valley Lake. And one thing I remember about that guy is this: ba-boom, 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 because the ball's bouncing all day long. Whenever he's home, the ball is bouncing. And that's just different aspects of it. His life, he was like a magnet, and he was illuminated so that if you're anywhere in the area, you could see that he is there, and he's representing basketball, representing athleticism, and go-get-itness for it. And then you become attracted to him in a lot of ways.
100%. I mean, I always joke with Eddie Pava all the time. I'm good friends with Ed Pava. He's a very good coach at Walkill Valley, coached at Sussex Tech softball, great guy, 1,000-point scorer at Sussex Tech. And I said, if you went to Franklin, because he's an Oberg guy, I said, there's not enough balls between you, Stick, and Ferrari. He goes, that would have ended up in a fist fight after every game. So it was good I went to Sussex Tech. And then I was thinking, I actually said to Joe Sweeney, who you mentioned in the book, he's a Vernon guy, him and his brother Michael, but they went to Pope John in '76 when Vernon opened. Technically, Gary Baldwin, Ferrara, the Sweeney brothers, all should have been on that Vernon team, but they were allowed to, obviously the Sweeneys were at Pope John, and the Franklin kids were allowed to stay at Franklin and finish out. But it was just a magical time for basketball. And here's the other thing, Bill, I think about. What if there was a three-point line? Michael would have had 3,000 points.
Yeah, you're right. It's kind of funny. That's about the time period. I remember when I was in high school, and the girls would play half court. They'd do two hands, and they'd sort of lay off them so they could shoot. Don't do a defense. And so they've come a long way. But I think talking about the stretch of basketball at Franklin from 1950 to 1970, those 20 years, look what the girls did. They came up. So you're talking about it was a wonderful time, mid-70s for the Walkill Valley. It's probably good athletes really peaked at that point. And just like the girls, they had to come a long way because they were very low to begin with, and they came up with Greta Sensovicki, which is a whole different story.
Got to mention Greta. She put girls basketball on the map in Sussex County.
Yeah. Yep.
Just like the Franklin boys had done. She came in and had some great teams at Franklin. And then when it became Walkill, they took another step, winning section titles. Greta was unbelievable. And we can't miss our man, Earl Horniak, who as a sophomore was on that 76 team and, played point guard. He was on some real good teams for Coach Virtue. And Earl's one of my good buddies, and he was a big part of that. And when he always, if I have a question about that time, now I have a book I can rely on, so I won't have to bother Earl, but Earl would be the guy. I go, Earl, remember that? And Earl he would know right away. So it was just a magical time. Bill, before I let you go, just let everyone know where they can find the book, where they can purchase it, and where they can read all your other stuff. Because if you are from the Sussex County area, or you don't have to be, if you just like well-written history and well-researched history, read Bill's stuff. He's the best. So, Bill, where can we find your stuff, in particular the book, which I'll plug again? It's Franklin High School, Two Basketball Dynasties, and it's, chronicling the start of Franklin as a town, Franklin Furnace, I think it used to be called. And then you have, the basketball Reg Purdy, and just explaining how it all builds up to Michael Ferrara and his great run. And another thing, too, folks, you'll enjoy, it's very conversational. You can basically hear Mike's voice when you're reading the book because he tells funny stories. I'm not going to give those away. I'm sure a couple of guys read those stories and said, "Oh boy,
They
hopefully
did.
the
They
statute of
did.
limitations are over." But I won't mention names because I don't want to give anything away. But it's outstanding. But Bill, where can everyone find your stuff?
Okay. By the way, I spoke to Earl yesterday. So
Oh, yeah, Earl's the best.
and I found out Earl's son Earl helped me out because I'm doing a new a new oak tree for the Franklin School, and it's in there, and I was watering it and so forth. So if you go to truran.com, you could have a good chance of seeing the panoply of different things I have, and there's motion pictures in there, videos. A lot of stuff, and you can see all of I've got about 8 books now, and I'm going to have 12 books by the end of the Revolutionary War 250 celebration, which is next July. And also you could get the books at Sparta Bookstore. You could get the books over in Branchville on Main Street Books over there, a wonderful lady, and Jennifer's wonderful over in Sparta. And and you could get it on Amazon too, but I'd suggest give the business to the local people. By the way, also, Dan, August 30th, there's going to be a celebration of life for Mike at the Franklin Gym, Franklin Boys Gym, as we called it. And so people are welcome to come. Get a hold of me, and you can get my email from the website. But yes, so that's where people are going to be getting together for Mike to reminisce.
Yeah, I got to see the list of people that you invited, and it's Sussex County Basketball Royalty, and also you mentioned Rick Carlisle and Dale Brown, guys that have been all invited to come to this. And again, I just love all the names. It brings back memories for me, and it's just a great book. So, folks, even if you're not from the Franklin area, this is a great book. It's a great read. And, Bill, we really appreciate your time. And hopefully I'll be able to get over there on the 30th, and we can reminisce more about Michael and what he did for Franklin High School. So I want to thank you for your time, Bill. Best of luck with the book, and keep in touch with us, okay?
Okay, thanks. Thank you. Bye.
All right, I want to thank Bill. Bill, you can sign off if you want. There you go. So our next guest is going to be Dante DeLuca from Don Bosco High School. He's a rising senior. He plays football, and he also wrestles. He's a top wrestler coming back at 215 pounds. And, he lost in the state finals last year to a kid from St. Joe's, and he's their leading returning rusher coming back for the Ironman, coached by Dan Sabella. So we're waiting for Dante to log on. Hopefully he will be joining us in just a moment. He had practice over there up in beautiful Ramsey, New Jersey, at Granite Stadium up there in Don Bosco. But folks, again, if you heard Bill, if you were from that area, I mean, the names he mentions in the book, as far as Sussex County basketball from that era, I mean, I years ago at another company, I did a history of the Sussex County Interscholastic League on Muggs Media. It was a four-part series. We broke it up 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s. And then, in the 70s, I was going back and I'm looking at doing my research, and the basketball back then, and I think it was kind of all over. You see a high school basketball game today, 55-48, it's a good defensive battle. I'm looking at the scores from the 70s. I'm thinking it'd be lower. No, those guys flew up and down the court. It was press and run. Scores 85-78 on a consistent basis. That was the norm, not something out of the ordinary. So, it was quite, when I saw all that stuff, and Michael Ferrara was part of that. Again, if there was a 3-point line, forget about it. But he wasn't just a shooter. He could attack the basket. And, went to Niagara, finished at Colgate. Stefkovich, again, not too many times you see two kids get 1,000 points in the same game. And they did that. And he went on, he played at UConn. So, again, from Little Franklin High School in middle of Sussex County, you have great players like those two. Dennis Tobin, who was an all-time county scoring leader a long time until his player broke it. Chris Gent, we'll talk about him in a second. And that was broken by Dennis's son, Matthew, at Opakon, where Dennis went to school. But the great names that Eddie Pave, 1,000-point scorer, the Sweeney boys, Dave Conroy, all those guys. He was a great player at Vernon. And all these stories are in there, and it's a lot of fun. So speaking of Chris Gent, as we're waiting to see, hopefully Dante will be joining us. Chris Gent, a legend in Sussex County, was the all-time leading scorer to Matt Tobin, broke his record. Went on, had a great career at Ohio State, bounced around the NBA, got a ring with the Houston Rockets, where he ironically was able to – they got the ring when they beat the Knicks in '94. He was a great offensive player, but made his name in college as a defender. He's one of the best defenders in the Big Ten. He'd be going against the Fab Five guys from Michigan, and he would shut some of those guys down. But Chris, bounced around the NBA a little bit, but he has made his bones as a great assistant coach in the NBA. And Mike Brown, who's now coming back to, he's coaching the Knicks. He coached at Cleveland, and Gent was on that staff and was like basically LeBron's, personal shooting coach. So he was with LeBron James. So he has a knack to coach the game of basketball, and he is now coaching with the New York Knicks. He's on the staff. So he's come back. He was out in California for a while. Obviously, when you're a coach, you bounce around. But Chris Gent was quite the legend in Sussex County. Mike Farrar, the first NBA guy. Chris Gent was the second NBA guy. And I would imagine the third guy, he went to Del Barton, but he grew up in Sparta, was Troy Murphy, who was the Big East Player of the Year and two-time Big East first team at Notre Dame, and then had a wonderful 11, 12-year career. He had a couple of big paydays, and Troy played for the Golden State Warriors, amongst other teams, 6'10", but could shoot like a guard. So it was just he was quite the player. But those are the three guys. You start with Farrar, you go to Gent, you go to Troy Murphy, and we'll see who hopefully the area will get another guy that will be able to come on and continue that great legacy. But Gent was a cool story with connections with Sussex County. Gent was able to get on the Rockets because they needed a player. Originally it was a 10-day contract, I believe, and then he got on. He made the playoff roster. But Joe Ash, who lived in Vernon, he was the head coach for years back at High Point High School back in the late 60s, early 70s. He coached there, and then he was the head coach of William Patterson. Well, Joe, well-known in basketball circles, he got a job in the NBA as a scout. And when I was a kid, my good friend Chris Pete, who went to NC State on a soccer scholarship and was a great basketball player, lived next door to the Ashes, and we would play in their driveway, because they had the rim set up. Joe's son, Joe Jr., was a great player at Vernon High School, made the North-South game. But that Sussex County connection, Joe Ash knew all about Chris Gent and got him on that team. So, you wouldn't think with Sussex County you wouldn't have a lot of NBA connections, but we certainly did as those guys, fulfilled those roles. So still waiting to see if Dante is going to join us. We're hoping he will, but I'll give you a little background. If you're not, Dante DeLuca comes from a great athletic family. His older brother, Rory, was a stud football player and wrestler at Hanover Park. I remember covering Rory. He was a Morris County champ in 2017. He was on some great football teams as a running back. He played at, I believe he played at Muhlenberg, but he comes from an athletic family. Dad was a good athlete as well. So but Dante chose to go to Don Bosco, and I believe he is here. That's good news. So, we'll bring on Dante in just a second. But coming back this year, they start in 3 weeks. They're going to go down to Melissa, Texas, play in that beautiful stadium down there. I think it's 35,000-seat stadium for a town that has 19,000 people. Texas football, folks, that's for real. So, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about wrestling, as he's the number one kid in his weight class, 215, coming back after losing the finals last year. So I'll ask our producer, Christian, if Dante is ready to come on and talk to us. We'd love to have him. There he is, Dante DeLuca. Dante, how are you, buddy?
Good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for taking the time to join us. I know you just practiced all day, and I'm sure practices at Don Bosco football with Coach Sabella are a walk in the park, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Coach Sabella is a no-nonsense guy. You know that, but he's a hell of a football coach. Him and his brother, those guys, the Sabella boys, can do some football coaching. So, Dante, we're literally, 2.5 weeks away? And you guys, are you guys taking a flight down to Texas? How are you getting down there? Going down to play Melissa, Texas? Melissa High School, a top 5A program. That means that's a big school down there in Texas. Again, you guys are going to be playing it's going to be like playing in a pro stadium down there. But talk about how excited you are to start the season and going down there to represent New Jersey against a great Texas school.
Yeah, I mean, me and the guys can't wait. we're the first team in Jersey to go to Texas, so we're just ready to make history. And they're a really good team, so we're ready for some new good competition out of state, and we're just like really excited. We worked really hard this off season, so we're ready just to showcase our skills against a unfamiliar opponent, Melissa.
Yeah, just talk about coming back. I mean, a lot of times at Don Bosco, you got to be good, which you are. A lot of guys don't see the field until possibly their senior year because of the talent level. You guys have a lot of guys coming back. Although you graduate every year, you guys reload, don't rebuild. Talk about the guys coming back and what you guys hope to do this year. I know you had unfinished business with your friends in Bergen County, with obviously St. Joe's and Bergen Catholic and Paramus Catholic, and although they're in Passaic County, DePaul. But just talk about the gang you got coming back. What you guys hope to do?
I mean, yeah, I feel like our team was young last year, so we got a lot of guys coming back, and it's unfinished business from last year. We're ready to complete the goal we had set since we all got to Bosco, just to win a state championship. So we're all ready to go, and we're all on the same page.
Talk about that tradition. No one wants to be the team that's a quote unquote bad Don Bosco team. There's no such thing recently. Coach Toll started it all 25 years ago. But talk about the tradition of Don Bosco and how important that is when you play for the Ironman.
Yeah, I mean, it's the most important thing in my life to be able to wear Don Bosco on my chest and to play for Coach Sabella and all the coaches and to play like beside all the teammates there. And we just have like a hard-nosed tradition to be the toughest guys in the league. Like, snap, like just line up every time the ball snap and just come to play. We don't care where we're snapping the ball. It could be on a street. It doesn't matter. We're just ready to go, and we're fighting for our teammates, for each other.
Right now, where do you see yourself physically and mentally different from last year? It's a big jump junior to senior year. You had a great junior year and almost 900 yards rushing, a bunch of catches as well. Where do you think you've improved the most, and you can't wait to show that on game night?
I mean, just got a lot stronger from last year, and last year was like kind of new to me as the starting back. It's my first year starting, so this year I'm just more mentally like stable and like I'm used to it now. So like I've been there before, so now I'm just ready to go.
How would you describe your guys' offense? You guys have a pretty good mix. You guys do throw it, do run it, and you guys spread things out. Tell everyone what Don Bosco's offense is like.
I mean, I think we're a pretty good offense. I mean, we have receivers out like to the wide, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Zakai. Those kids will, shock defenses this year like they did last year. They're really good players. They're high-level players. And then we have a great O-line where our offense starts from, like Rhett Morris, Danny Zenzer. We have our a center, Joey Lucas, who's a sophomore. He's stepped up, taking a big role on. Left tackle, Shippy, and then right tackle. We still got people fighting for that spot. But it starts from the O-line. They just come to work every day. So without them, nothing can happen. But they're doing a great job. And then the running backs, we have a lot of running backs. Me, Colin from last year. We have transfer Kasai, who's really good. We have Jason Boschio, who's also there last year, and Gavin Splendorio, who's a freshman. And then we have 2 QBs right now fighting for a spot. But we have great athletes, and we're ready to go. And we're ready to shock some defenses this year. We have a lot of weapons, and we're ready to use them.
Just talk about that schedule. Like you said, you're heading down to Texas, and you got St. Anthony's from Long Island, and then your regular guys. The mental and physical toughness to go against that gauntlet, there's no gimmies. How do you guys handle that?
I mean, the off season we get put through from Coach Tank, the conditioning and workouts. Like by the season, we're already ready for it. Like the conditioning, what we do in the off season, like the winter time, is way harder than we're gonna have to go through this season. So we're all mentally and physically ready already for it.
So obviously, you're an outstanding wrestler. To be at the high level you are in both sports takes a lot. Usually at one point, a kid realizes that has that level of talent that you have, I'm going to stick with one and put all my effort into that. What has kept you as both a top-notch football player and then last year making the state finals, as a junior, 1 loss all year, Bergen County champ? What made you decide I could do both of these and be also a great student?
I mean, I watched it firsthand with my brother doing it at Hanover Park. So that honestly gave me like the ability to like believe I could do it because he did it, and he just keeps giving me advice throughout the journey I'm on to do 2 sports and balancing academics. Like he was a smart kid and obviously played high level sports, both sports. So just living like under him honestly helped me the most with it. Like since he did it, I want to be like him, so I continue to do it. And he like stays on me with that stuff. So
I was going to say that must be fun. Now that you're grown up now, you're almost the same size as him. You
yeah,
were, because what, there's about 7, 8 years difference between you guys, maybe a little more.
yeah,
So
it's
now
like
you're
eight.
like, so you're the same size as him. So those things in the yard are probably lot more even now, and maybe tilting someone's way. I'm not going to say who, but what are you weighing right now?
Like 220.
All right, so that's the other thing I was going to ask you. I mean, 215 is your weight class. I'm sure that's what you want to be at. If you're 220 during football, you'll probably be close to 215 by the end of football because of the beating you take.
Yeah.
But talk about maintaining that weight, because it's such a tough thing to do, to roll in from being in a state final in football, and then maybe you get 1 day off, you roll around in the wrestling room. How do you manage that?
I mean, it's pretty tough. I'm not gonna lie. Usually, well, we have a new wrestling coach this year, but I've talked to him
Yes.
about it already. He plans on giving me like a week or two just to get back into it. So he's like giving me some time off because he knows this football season's really tough. And I mean, I just really trust the process. Like I listen to my brother a lot with wrestling and football. So right when I get out of football, I really like focus up with my brother, and he gives me a plan that I follow for the next couple of weeks, and it usually gets me back in pretty good shape and ready to go for the wrestling season. So yeah.
And nowadays with with the weight limitations and hydration and all that stuff, I can tell you I'm an old man. Back in the day, I knew a guy that went to Sparta High School, and he ended up playing football and wrestling at Penn State. John Place was his name, state champion in wrestling. But Sparta back then would be in the state finals every year. So he played fullback and middle linebacker, and he was 230 pounds. But back then, there was no checking on things. He'd run around in a wetsuit and just be terrible fasting. And then he would go from 230, and then by the time districts rolled around, he would make 188. Because back then, it was 188 and then heavyweight. There was no 215. So he was wrestling heavyweight to get down to 188, and then March would roll around. He'd get to 188 and just run through the district regions and states. So it's such – and I'm glad it's changed, because that's just completely unhealthy. But was there any thought of going to heavyweight or going down maybe a weight class, or is 215 perfect for you?
I mean, 215 is perfect with me. Like, I have Nevin Matisich right under me, my teammate who's committed to Brown. Me and him are partners, so it wasn't even a thought to go 190. And then, like, I walk around 215 anyway, so it just fits me. And then heavyweight, I don't think I'm tall enough for that, so that didn't really cross my mind.
Now you got a new coach, Coach Almeida, coming in. He coached at Fort Lee for a long time. He was an assistant at St. Joe's. He wrestled at Bergen Tech, but he also part of that great Edge wrestling school. Do you go to Edge, or do you go to another school? Where do you wrestle off season?
I go to Ruthless. It's in like Pinebrook, Montville. The Ramos brother runs it. Yeah, I've been there since they've opened up. How
big is that for you to wrestle? I mean, it's so much. Your time is so limited with football classes and wrestling. But how's that help you wrestling at that club level? But also you're rolling around with Madison, who's awesome as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different partners up at Ruthless. So I even wrestle with the coaches like Andrew Marola. He went to Cornell. He went to Blair first. I wrestled with Anthony Olivieri. He wrestled at Rutgers. His brother's now at Rutgers wrestling.
Right.
And then even Santino Rodriguez, he wrestled 65 last year on our team. He's like 180, so I wrestle with him too. So I have a lot of good partners up at Ruthless. And then whenever I call Nevin to get working, we always just wrestle. So I always figure it out and I have good teammates and good coaches that I could wrestle with.
Talk about, I guess you can't pick a favorite sport because you're doing both. Right now, for your favorite sport's football because you're playing it. Then come wrestling. But just talk about the love of both sports, because they're not easy sports to be in love with as far as the physical and mental and time that you have to put in to be at the top level. You want to do what you're doing football-wise at a powerhouse like Don Bosco and wrestle at Don Bosco. You can't be screwing around. I'm sure your time management's a lot, but talk about the love of each sport.
I mean, yeah, I love both sports a lot. Like, I put my life into it, and my parents sacrificed a lot to put me in this place where I am today. So I have a strong love for it because I appreciate, like, everything that's happened for me and, like, everything my parents and family put into it for me. So I really just love the game, and I love, especially at Don Bosco, the brotherhood's really strong. So I love just suiting up and getting ready with the boys because the bond we have is bigger than just football. So like just playing, like I really enjoy that and love it because I know these guys are going to be brothers for a lifetime. So it's bigger than sports, but that's why I really love sports I play. So you create brotherhoods throughout it that you're going to have for the rest of your life.
So obviously, you grew up and lived in Florham Park. Would have went to Hanover Park. What was the decision like? You played with all those kids growing up. Your brother was a stud at Hanover Park. I think he wrestled for Coach Laval. He's a legend at Hanover Park. Football has been good. Last year, they won a section title for the first time in a long time. So it wasn't like you were leaving a public school that wasn't good at sports. How tough was that decision for you and the family to say, you know what, I want to do that next level. Maybe Don Bosco's the spot for us.
I mean, I was planning on going to Hanover Park actually, and then I reclassed, which I wasn't planning on doing. And then throughout that year, just like a coach kind of reached out through family, and my family sent my film back to them, and they kind of just started recruiting me. So it kind of just shifted from there. And then Santino, my best friend, also, we both decided to go there. So it was kind of like, it's just like meant to be. I mean, yeah, it was tough leaving my friends and stuff, but I knew if I went like this route, I'd be set up for success. So I took the risk.
Absolutely. Talk about, and you mentioned, talk about the challenge. When you go to a non-public, everyone's meeting basically for the first time, unless you played club, you wrestled together in club for wrestling. But football-wise, everyone's coming from a different feeder program from all over, and Tabasco gets kids from all over the place. How tough is it to form that bond when you guys just met as freshmen?
I mean, yeah, you would think it's tough, but right when we got there, I made friends right away with the kids on the freshman football team. Like, it was kind of just like, it just happened. Like, we have the same mindset. We're there for the same reason. So we kind of just like, we're brothers built in already. Like, we kind of bonded like really quickly. So it wasn't that tough to make friends at Bosco because we all usually have like the same mindset and want the same things.
So talk about playing for Coach Sabella. I mean, he's a legend. He's won everywhere he's gone. He did a great job at Paramus. My buddy Joe Down played for him. I was a captain at Paramus. Just give us an idea what a practice with Coach Sabella is without giving away too much. I mean, as I was teasing you before, you just got home from practice. I'm sure that's a walk in the park at Don Bosco. But talk about when you have so many high-level kids playing together. Talk about a practice with Coach Sabella.
I mean, it's pretty physical. He harps on physicality and energy. So the kids usually just bring up the energy. We're really focused on bringing energy and bringing physicality and urgency with every rep. Like, he harps on like the small things. You got to do the small things right because that's what's going to win championships. So he harps on like just really being physical, playing for each other, wanting to win every rep, and like don't take any reps off. It's a physical and fun practice. Like, we get to work, which all the kids love to do. So it's really fun.
So shifting gears back to wrestling, what did you learn? I mean, you lost to the Harris kid from St. Joe's who had knocked on the door all the years he did. He was able to win the state final. What do you take from that? And how hungry? I know it's football time, so it's tough to think wrestling. It's down the road. But what did you learn from that that's going to make you hungry to go out there and get on the podium and be the gold medal this time around?
I mean, I'm hungrier than ever right now. I mean, losing in the state finals isn't the best feeling ever. So that kind of just motivates me every day, even through football. Like I just work even harder for football thinking about that match in the finals. But I mean, just losing to Harris, I mean, he was a good opponent, obviously, but just losing to him makes me hungry, and I'd never want to feel that again. So I work hard every day, even through football, to get back to that point and to win it, because it's not a walk in the park getting there. So I got to focus on that too.
Absolutely. I mean, you made the finals in football, made the finals as an individual in wrestling. So talk about your future, Dante. I know Ivy League is what you're looking at. What can you give us a little clue to where you're thinking about going? Who's looking at you? Give us an idea, because obviously anywhere in the Ivy League, it's a win. You're going to come out with a degree from an Ivy League school, and you'll be set. But from what I understand, you're hoping to do possibly both at the next level. Talk about that process and how that's going.
I mean, yeah, doing both might be an option. I'm not sure what I want to do yet, but I've been really talking to Brown and Columbia for wrestling mostly, and then there was like I could play football at Brown. The football coaches want me to play football as well, but I haven't like really talked into it that deeply yet because I'm still trying to figure out like where I want to go. I mean,
Right.
I was NYU for wrestling. I've been talking to Harvard for wrestling, Yale for football, and yeah, just trying to stay high academic school with some high athletics as well. So I haven't really made a decision yet. It's a tough choice for me, but my options are still open right now. But I love
And
all the
that's
schools
always
I'm
good to
talking
have
to.
those options. But here's one thing, and I've said this to people because I've been doing this a long time. If you play at a high level at a non-public and then you go to college, you've almost already played 4 years of college ball because this day and age with NIL and transfers, coach can sell you a bill of goods. You go to that certain school and you don't know who's coming in. But you kind of have that already when you're at a non-public because you come in, you don't know who's coming in after you. When you're at a public school, you know who's in 7th grade, who's in 8th grade. So you kind of have a head start on that. But just the NIL and transfers things, is that anything on your radar right now, or you just want to worry about your senior year?
I mean, yeah, I'm just focused on my senior year and trying to win state championships. So,
and Dante, you touched on it before. How important is your family in this whole process? I mean, if you don't have the support from your family, just talk about what your family means to you.
I mean, it means everything to me. They're here for me through like the thick and thin, and this is like why I do most of the stuff to get back to them. They've done so much for me, so I want to get back to them by like going to a high academic and high athletic school. It's just so like they kind of deserve it more than I do because they've done so much for me.
So if you had a message for Don Bosco football opponents this year, what's the message from the Ironman? What should they know, especially the guys down in Texas?
I mean, we're just going to be ready to play with physicality every snap.
All right, Dante, is there anything else you want to add on, bud?
No, thank you.
I appreciate the time, man. I know practicing and then driving 50 minutes, getting home and rushing to a computer. I'm sure you'd rather be sleeping or eating right now. So I'll let you get to that. Give my best to your brother, Rory. I covered him when he was at Hanover Park, when I was at Muggs Media, stud player. I've gotten to know your dad through text messaging. Great guys. So give my best to your family. We wish you the best of luck down in Texas and for the rest of the season. And we hope to see you on top of the podium in Atlantic City.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
All right. You can sign off, Dante. So that's Dante DeLuca. He's a senior right now at Don Bosco. They'll be going down to Melissa, Texas. I was doing a little research. 2 years ago, they built, I think it was a 35,000 seat stadium, millions upon millions of dollars for it. And the town, it's a public school. The town has 19,000 people in it. So it's just nuts. It's a different world. You know, your Friday Night Lights was about, was about Pennsylvania and Texas. But you know what? The non-publics in the state of New Jersey really represent when they leave. I know the public, non-public people bicker about that, but you know what? You got to get behind the non-publics when they leave the state. When Coach Sabella and Coach Campanelli and all those guys, when they leave the state, they're representing New Jersey football, and you got to get behind that. So again, I started at the top of the show. It's coming, folks. You can feel it coming. Week 0, 2.5 weeks away. Amazing. So I'm going to be wrapping up my Sussex County football preview. We'll be at the media days. I think we might have been at the big Central Media Day yesterday. Check out our social media. Christian, our producer, does a great job at that. You'll get to see all the little mini previews from all the schools, Super Football Conference. We'll have it all. We got it covered, but don't just think we're football. We love doing soccer. We love doing field hockey. We love doing tennis, volleyball. You name it, we'll do it here at Big State Sports. And we get the contracts to do the HWS championships under Warren Sussex, Morris County, Somerset County we've been doing, some Union County. We've been down the shore. So we're really expanding. And George Muha, who's the owner and president of Big State Sports, has a vision. And he's following that vision. And I'm just very fortunate to be part of it. I love what he's doing, expanding. Although we're expanding our coverage and everything, but we still have a tight-knit, solid core of people with great kids that go out and produce and shoot. But it's George, it's Kelly Barter, who does an amazing job of production. Christian, our producer tonight, amazing job on social media and is a terrific up-and-coming broadcaster himself. Do not be surprised to see that young man calling games on ESPN in the future. He's that kind of good. You got Couture Sassman, who does a great job running the office. Sue doing our sales. It's a small group there, but they get a lot done. And if you want to get your game on, I know Friday nights are getting filled up, but we'll see what we can do for Saturdays and during the week. But don't take my word for it. Reach out to George. Send George an email at George at Big State Sports. You can find out, the pricing, get you on if you want to advertise. We get 4 million views on our social media. That's insane. No other platform can give you that. And whatever we put on our YouTube and stuff, you'll see on social media to be a link to it. Plus, we have great write-ups. Joe Hoffman, Zach Smolin does a great job with the broadcasters and writing. He's our contact director. He does a great job. So we got it visually, and I'll be old school. I call it print, but it's digital writing, and we have great people doing that. So we got it all covered. Social media, game coverage, podcast. I'm sure come September, Zach and Dave will start their Keeping It Frosty podcast, talking about all the local sports, covering it all like a glove. Those guys are fun to listen. You got to check that out. I'm fortunate enough to do this podcast to get great people like Dante DeLuca and Bill Trunan talking about that great book. Again, the book I'll mention again, Franklin High School. I know it's looking backwards on the camera, but it's Franklin High School, 2 basketball dynasties. It's a great read, folks. If you're not even from the area, it's a lot of fun. A lot of big basketball names that Mike Ferrara crossed paths with and continued. And again, Mike unfortunately passed away, so we send our condolences to his daughter and the rest of the family. But Mike was quite a special character, and if you read the book, you'll get a full idea what kind of a character he was. So check that out. And again, they'll have a celebration of his life August 30th at Franklin High School gym where he did his damage and was a great player. You can check out Bill Truan's website for more information if you want to come by and check that out. All right, folks. So that's going to wrap up this Wednesday evening edition of the Dan Cleary podcast. I want to thank everyone for watching. Again, get ready. Opening day is coming up soon. I want to thank Christian for producing today, stepping in, doing a great job. So seeing we don't have any questions about the book or for Mr. DeLuca, we're going to wrap this up. So, folks, enjoy the rest of your week. I'll see you next week live here on the Big State Sports Network.